What's up, my loves? I am getting ready to do a 10-minute template tutorial for this particular Remembrance shirt, and I was going to wait just a little bit. Hey, Monique. Because the person that I chose for this particular template is very dear to me, Miss Erica, and I remember her telling me the story of how her cousin tragically passed away from an incident where he drowned in a river, I believe. And initially I thought, well, maybe this particular template wouldn't be appropriate because he couldn't swim and that's the reason why he drowned. But she did post the picture, so I'm thinking she considered that. And maybe the whole point of this is that when you're resting in paradise, you don't have those fears, you don't have those threats or concerns. So the water is now peace and there's nothing to be afraid of. So I'm going to interpret it as that. I hope she interprets it as that, because I really feel really honored to do this for her and for her cousin. So we're going to go ahead and go forward with it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get my photo ready to cut. I'm going to use Remove BG to see if I can. Oh, duh, I got to go to Chrome. And Remove BG is just remove.bg. It's just a program. It's built into this website where you drop a photo in there and it will automatically try to detect the background from the foreground, remove the background, of course, and if it has any troubles, it has a few features that you can play with. Now I have two photos here that I'm going to pull in and see what happens. Photo number one looks like it cleaned up pretty good. A little bit of that shadow there that I don't want, but I think we can work off of that. And then the next one, I can just drag it literally from my folder right onto the screen here. And I'm getting some of the background from the vehicle here, but that's fine because I'll show you how to correct that in Photoshop. And these aren't really large files, but we'll see that they should be good enough for us to work with for this. What's up, Velo? Let's go ahead and download these two. Yeah, I haven't missed much yet. I'm just using Remove BG to download these photos. That we're going to use for the template today. So I have both of my photos here. I'm going to go ahead and close out. So now you'll see what this template looks like with a single photo. And I haven't planned for it to be a multi-photo, but hey, we're going to do a variation today. You know how I do. these 10-minute template teas, instead of just showing you exactly how to do something in 10 minutes, I always throw some extra stuff in there to teach you a little bit more about Photoshop, a little bit to increase your confidence in your skills. Even playing with the template, you can do much more than the template allows, and I expect that out of you, and I know that you all will live up to those expectations. Alright, so I have my 2 photos. I'm going to go ahead and right click and click on the photo just so it takes me down to that layer. And right now I'm going to go ahead and turn off the present photo so I can kind of see the elements that I have here. And I'm going to drag in photo number 1. I'm just going to hit enter right now just to bring it in. And then I'll bring in photo number 2. Like I said, the one that I'm probably going to need to do some work on to get rid of this extraneous stuff from the car. And then we have a frame here, so I'm thinking, although the hair is cut off, we might have to do something funny there. Let's see what we're going to do. We definitely want to represent this in the best light. So any tools that I can show you how to use here, I'm more than happy to show you. Now, here's another thing. Remove BG removed part of his shirt right here, and I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to bring in the original file. And one good thing about Remove BG, it keeps the exact pixels size. So I can see here that basically I need to include the shirt and exclude the background here. So really what I'm going to do is go ahead and use my pen tool here. And I'm going to pretend like I can see the edge of the shirt, even though I can't. It's fine. I'm using the pen tool. When we want a straight edge and a corner, I click, and then when I want a curve, I click and I drag. And I'm just making sure that I get clean around his ear because the colors were so close from the foreground and background that the Remove BG did not understand the difference. So we're going to help it here. And I think it got all of this up here where his hair is, and if not, we'll be able to tell in just a moment. I'm selecting off the artboard just so I can make sure I get all of that extraneous stuff in the background. Now here I'm just going to choose selection. And for the radius, let's say I'm going to choose a 1 pixel radius, just to see if it matches up with the feathering from the original image. So 2 things I'm going to do here. I have my selection here, and I can see that I should have selected a little bit more here. And I'm going to combine the shapes here and see if it'll let me continue. Because I've already turned it into a selection. I should have done my due diligence to make sure I had everything selected. Alright, so it's not letting me do that. Yeah. I'm going to keep my selection, and then instead of doing the shape, it's not going to let me add to the selection. So I'm going to use this lasso tool here, and I'm on the add selection here. So this is where, if you're going to replace the selection, this is if you're going to add, and this one is to subtract. So I'm making sure I'm on the add one here, and I'm just going to draw with my lasso tool, and that selected it. Now from here, I normally do not destroy pixels, but I am in this case because I hit delete here on this layer, get rid of those pixels, and then I'm going to select inverse here. I'm going to do something where I'm going to add this back. And one thing I can do, I can Control C to copy, and then I can edit. Instead of just doing Control V to paste, I want to paste it into place, meaning that I don't want it to shift when I paste it. I don't want it to paste it anywhere else but in the exact orientation it was before. So I could also hit Shift Control V. So I pasted it into place. Turn off that background layer now. Now I have two different layers I want to combine. Of course, my pre-cut out image and then the image with the background. All we need is this little part of the shirt right here. So I'm just going to lasso it real quick and Control X to take that away. And I'm going to turn this layer off so I don't get confused. And then again, we'll do paste in place. And bam, we have that part of the shirt back. So another concern I had is the hair here. And I kind of like the image, the photo, to be popping out from the frame. I don't want it inside the frame. To me, it makes it look, you know, just a little more dynamic, like it pops out at you. It's not so flat. So we're going to go ahead and combine these. Let's go ahead and merge those layers. I can get rid of my other layers now. I don't need them right now. I'm going to Control T, transform, make this a little bit smaller so that I can see what I can do with this hair right here. I'll take my lasso tool and I'm just going to grab some of the hair here, Control C, and now this time I can Control V because I'm just pasting. See how when it pastes it in a different placement? So if you wanted it to place it in the exact same placement, that's why you do the paste in place. Control T is going to allow me to transform this, and what I'm trying to do is kind of create a copy of the texture of the hair here, these wicks, and I want them to look like they naturally belong there. So I'm going to do a little photoshopping in the Photoshop. Now one thing you can do, you can transform these various ways. I'm going to do let's do a transform, and I'm going to do a warp because I'm literally going to drag these to where it makes sense to me. And as a matter of fact, I think I can get rid of that part and add in a little bit so that it doesn't look like it's too extended. I'm just using my imagination here. I have no reference whatsoever, but I know we can do this. Now the next thing is there's some harsh areas where we have a little overlap, difference in colors. Cool. We're going to do a layer mask because we're not going to destroy any pixels here. We may need them. I'm going to take my paintbrush, and black is going to conceal and white will reveal, and I want to conceal some of these edges here. So I'm going to make sure that I have my soft brush selected. That's in your general brushes. Right click so that I can change the size. Bring the scale down a little bit so that I can clean this up. And now I'm just going to make sure that my black is selected. Of course, 6 zeros there for the hex code. And I'm just going to brush away at that edge. Now, if you really need to see what you're doing, you can do that. And I'm just showing you I'm brushing those edges away. Now, if I brushed away too much, let's say for instance, oops, brushed away too much, bring that back. Oh no! So we'll use the white to reveal. Uh-oh, I just painted white. I need to be on my layer mask. And let's paint white back here. Well, what exactamundo is going on here? White selected. Oh, I don't have pure white selected. Make sure pure white selected. As a matter of fact, if you're not sure, if you click on these default swatches here, you'll get pure white, pure black, and then you can always use this to reverse them. Which one is the foreground and which one is the background. Okay, so we'll go foreground is the white now. There we go. Always troubleshooting right in front of y'all. Boy, I tell you. Photoshop is showing out for y'all. But it's good because if you run across these issues, you will know exactly what to do. Alright, I think we're good. I just added that hair there. Now, if I close out of this, it may or may not update depending on whether it's still considered a PNG. Now, let me show you something. I'm going to exit out, or if I hit Control S to save, It's going to tell me it can't save it to the original format because it's no longer a PNG. Why is that? Because we have multiple layers now. So I can do one of two things. If I'm happy with it and I know it's final, I can go ahead and merge that down. Now it is considered a PNG, so when I Control S to save, it just saves it automatically. If I close out of this, now it updates and propagates to the bigger file. You see that? Now if I wanted to keep all those layers, then I would literally save it as a PSB, which is basically a smart object, and then I would drag it back in here and it would have all of those layers preserved. So if I didn't think I did a good job or wanted to go back and change anything with those layers, then I absolutely could preserve that. But we know we did it right. We did it right the first time. We don't have to rework it. So I'm going to call this one photo 2. And we'll call this one. Okay, calm down. Make sure I have my selection tool there, and then we'll call this one photo 3. Control T is going to allow me to transform this. And I'm going to rotate it so that he's standing straight up. And I may or may not want this in the frame. That's going to be up to our design instincts today. So I want you all to help me with that. Now, one thing I am going to do for sure is I'm going to go ahead and turn on my guidelines here, because I do want to warn you, if you're doing anything important, whether it be text or someone's face, you do not want to go outside of this dotted line. So we know that we can have some bleed off. Yes, his outfit will get cut off a little bit on a small shirt or a medium shirt. That might be fine, but what we really don't want to happen is a face to get cut off. And trust me, I've had that happen trying to make these designs like super big, and sometimes you just cannot escape the fact that you did a little too much. So let's go photo 3, make sure at least his entire face is in there, if that's the placement that we're going to go with. And then I will probably clean that shoe up a little bit to make sure that shadow is in there so that he looks fresh, you know. He's definitely looking fresh in the photo. We got to do him justice on the shirt. And I don't remember which Jordans those are, but I'm sure the kids take very particular care to let, I don't know, they might be 11s. I'm just going to guess they're 11s. I don't really know. My best friend was at one point a sneaker connoisseur, so I know a little something, but if I'm not sure of something, I usually tell you. Alright, so far I'm liking this. I do see that hard line right there in the photo, and you know I don't do the hard lines, so let's go ahead and bring that photo up so I can see where the hard lines are. We're going to do a layer mask. And this was, if this image was already ready to go, this is where we would start. But we had a couple of issues with the photo, so I was able to show you some extra steps, some problem-solving skills in the Photoshopage. And I think I need my brush to be a little bit bigger. Here we go. Okay, so I'm on the layer mask, not on the photo. And of course, white reveals, black conceals. So I want to select black. Go ahead and fade that off a little bit. I'll go ahead and do it to the bottom too, because I don't know what's going to show. One thing I do know is I don't like the showing of hard lines. Alright, so now we can grab this photo, drag it back down, and it looks a little more believable. It's blendable now. And I'm going to make his photo bigger. And we could have chose the other photo to make as the main photo, but I think this one just, it's adorable to me. It makes me feel like, you know, his spirit is there. I'm sure that he was a charmer too, so I like that. Alright, so I'm just doing a little placement so that I don't see anything that I don't want to see. Like I was seeing both sides of the inside of the wings. I only want to see one. And technically, we could call this done, right? We could really, really call this done. And it would have taken probably less than 10 minutes. Of course, we have to type the name there. Let me see if my girl E is on here and she can tell me the name. I'll change it. I think I have to get back to where I can see y'all live. Erica may or may not be here, so what I'll do is I'm going to leave the name like it is because of course it's a template, and the whole point of a template is that I don't have to do everything for you. I want you to understand there's some things that you can play with too. But I think what I will do, and it's kind of cool because the blues and the sneakers too. Let me clean those sneakers up a little bit. And as a matter of fact, instead of doing it on here, just go to my photo, we'll double click on it. And that's another reason why I didn't want to blow this one up as the main image too, because it'll get very pixelated. You see, I'm already seeing pixels here. So for this one, I'm still going to use my pen tool. Now, some of you may be afraid of the pen tool. Don't be. Start using it, start playing with it, get confident with it, and it will be one of your best tools and friends in this program. We go ahead and make that a selection. I'll feather it 1 pixel, and since we already have the background destroyed, I did destructively delete those pixels. But we're good now. I can close out, say yes, and it will update it on here. Cool beans. So I think what I'm going to do is show you all how you would edit the name here. So let's say I'm going to choose, I chose the text tool. Okay, let me turn this little bad baby on. Sorry guys, I forgot to turn that on for you. So I'm right clicking. And I can triple click to select everything. So I'll put first name, last name. And in this case, if there's like a junior, senior, anything like that, you can put that there. And you can change the size of the text here. If you have a very short name, you might want to make it larger and so forth. Now in this case, my photo is above my date here. Oh yes, and another thing is yesterday was his birthday, and I was supposed to record this video yesterday. But maybe that's for a reason, because maybe it would have been a little, you know, too intense. But it definitely has a purpose. Let's see. What do I want to do? I want to take the photo. Now I want the date above all else, so I'll take the date and put it up with the text. There we go. So now I'm going to group all of this and call it text. And the halo is a part of that too. And as a matter of fact, let's take that halo. And I'm going to show you something here. What happened is it has a layer mask on it. So we want to put the halo here as well. We can. It has a layer mask on it, so we're going to identify that in just a moment. So we'll call this the halo that goes with the photo. So I'm going to drag this down to my photo layer. Group all of those. I'll group the wings. Group those and call that a photo. All right. Now, as far as the halo goes, now if you don't change these words, if you always keep them RIP, that will be fine. But if you happen to change the letters and you want to change the part of the halo that's exposed, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that with his hair there. But in this case, let me show you something with the text real quick. It does have an image that is clipped into the letters. It's the same image from the background. You could also change the colors of the paradise. So if I go to Rest in Paradise and I want to take off the gradient or change that color, we have the option. Let's say for this sake, we want to make it match his shoes, right? So I'm going to do an alternate gradient. So let's do another gradient. I'm going to turn the original one off. And then this one, I'm basically just going to go with like the blue and white theme. So if I want to match his shoes exactly, I'm going to choose that blue in the shoes. And then what I might do is, because the blue looks a little bit darker on his shirt, I'm going to grab that blue too. Then that way we can fade from one blue to another. I'm going to get rid of the green here and maybe do the white. And you can just select white there. And see how now we're building a little bit different color palette? Alright, so we'll say okay there. And I'm going to show you also, what we'll do is we'll make this one maybe a silver design, so then you'll have an option between silver and gold. I like to do that often. So we have the gradient overlay. It's going from the Carolina blue to the white. But you know what, no, I think we'll leave it the gold, because the gold halo and the gold frame just really speak. But I'll show you how to change it if you wanted to. For instance, let's go to the frame here. I'm going to go ahead and label that. We'll just name it frame. And you have effects here. We can double click on those effects. Right now it has a drop shadow on it, but you can also do a color overlay. And right now, of course, it's black, but you can change what these blend modes do. I'm going to put it on color, and what it did was it made it black and white based on the values of the underlying color. So the value is how dark or light that color is on the spectrum. Like a navy blue is closer to black, a true primary red is somewhere in the middle, a sky blue would be closer to white. And what it does is it takes those tones and then it overlays this new color, and then the color replaces the value of the previous colors, if that makes any sense. So you're always welcome to play with these blend modes. I tell you, they're your friends. You don't know what they're going to do sometimes until you actually do them. So that just made it look a little more intense, a little more brassy with the black as the overlay. But I pretty much knew I was going to use color, because I'm replacing the original color with a solid color, but I still want to keep those highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. Alright, so that's if we wanted to make it silver. However, I think I'm going to keep it. I'll leave that on there for you, but I definitely want to keep it gold. Okay, so let's do the halo now. And we'll call this one the photo halo. Now, right now it has a layer mask on it. I'm going to get rid of that layer mask. Delete. And then I'm going to, here's a really cool shortcut you can do. You can hold down control. Wanted to show you here without confusing you. So hold down control and select the thumbnail of the image you want. And see how it created marching ants around his hair? Alright, so then we're going to select the inverse of that. And I'm going to create a layer mask here. And what it did was it took wherever his hair was and it automatically painted that in black for me. Do you see? So I didn't have to go in with my brush tool and try to remove with a manual layer mask. Same thing we can do with the RIP, but what I did for this one, I just used the brush and I just cleaned it up around the letters, and that worked easier for me. So now you have a couple of techniques there. You can even, for this template, let's say you don't like the frame, remove the frame. You have that option. Even the hands, the praying hands, you have an option to turn those off or on. So even with that, you have a different template. If you want to see more of the scenery there. I think what I'm going to do too, no, I think I like it just like this. I was going to change the colors up, but I like the green kind of hazing over, because I'll show you that too. You have these foggy clouds. So if I turn them off, those are your foggy clouds. You can go with a straight up background, but you know I always have to do some extra. So those are your foggy clouds. You can turn them off or on. I have a set of clouds that are 1, 2, and then I have a gradient overlay over them. So I'll double click on them and I'll show you. It's the same gradient overlay that I put on the initial text there for Rest in Paradise. Now let me show you something. If you want to keep the gradient that we did for Rest in Paradise, let me get off of this for a second. And I'm going to go to Rest in Paradise, go to my gradient overlay, and let's say I want to save that one. I just hit New and it saves it right down there at the bottom. And then this way, if I wanted to, let's say I want to go back to my clouds, my color cloud 1 and my color cloud 2, I can paste the layer style. Oh no, let's not paste the layer style because it's going to have the outlines and all that. Let me just go to the gradient overlay because that's all we really want to change. I'm going to add a gradient overlay, turn off the previous one, and then for this new overlay, we're going to do the blue to the white. So I do like that. Like I said, it matches with this kicks better. So we'll do the same thing. Now for here, I can copy this layer style and I can paste it into my other clouds. And these clouds are achieved with the paint brushes. And those brushes are for sale on the website too. There we go. So yeah, it just brings a little bit of that blue into it. And let's say like he was wearing red or purple or anything else. Instead of redoing this, let me just do a color overlay. I'm going to show you how we can change the colors of these clouds. No problem. And this is just a color overlay. I did a gradient because I wanted to look a little more subtle. But yeah. And if you want the clouds to look even more intense, let's say we were doing orange, you can just right click and you could duplicate that cloud. So this is duplicate layer, duplicate it, and all of a sudden that cloud is going to look more intense, more opaque. So those are just some options for you. I'm definitely going to take that color overlay off. And I think we're done with this. I'm going to check on you all, see if you have any questions, any comments, because at the end of these 10-minute template videos, I'm definitely going to take questions. And it doesn't have to necessarily be something specific to this template. It can be something that you want to learn and you want me to demonstrate right now. Okay, so Kimberly, the text box and image area is default for all sizes. That's my interpretation of it, because now one thing you can do is you can design a template size for each size shirt. So for instance, I can obviously see if I was doing a 2X, 3X that I can go way larger with this image area. However, I would have to save a different file for each size. So what I do personally is I just make sure that even for the smallest shirt, that I'm okay with whatever gets cut off on the smallest shirt. And then I just extend my background bigger so that if I do need a 2X and I'm coming out to this line here, yeah, I'm going to just have a little extra background and I'll be able to see more of my image. But I'm still essentially keeping all my essential stuff. So definitely have the faces in there. And even this face, I'm pushing it. I'm getting into that armpit there. And you know what happens when you sublimate over those sleeves. Y'all already know. So let me go ahead and fix my own problem. I'm going to bring him in. Okay. Oh, let me tell you, Sharon, that is an excellent question. So the red X on the background, do y'all want to see what that does? And Nakia, this answers your question exactly. So I have a mask on this thing. Ta-da! Now it is not exactly a 13 by 19 right now, but what this mask is, it's a 13 by 19 ratio. It's not to scale. So this is going to be a huge file. If you get this file and never intend on doing the all over prints, then you probably want to get the 13 by 19 size because it's smaller already. But if you don't know, go ahead and get this file, because I have included this layer mask, which basically makes it 13 by 19 style. Now this is a huge file. You don't want to print this to your little 7710 or 7720 right now. Let me show you what you would do. Oh Oh, y'all were right on it together. So Sharon and Nakia, y'all basically were asking the same question, didn't even know it. That's cool. All right, let me show you what you would do for this. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I save what I've done so far, because I'm going to show you a step to make your own 13 by 19 out of an all over template. And if you're wondering how to do this, I did a whole quick tips video where I literally did template after template after template. I think I did at least 4 different templates in the live. And we took it, we did all over size, we created a mask, and we brought it down to the 13 by 19 size. So let me show you that process real quick in the Jiffy. We're going to go to our crop tool and see how my ratio is automatically 13 by 19. You will probably have nothing selected here. Nothing here, nothing here. Or I can just hit clear. So let me get out of my, I didn't want to crop you, sir. Let me undo this croppage right now, because what I really wanted to do was show you how you're going to see it. So when you first see it and you click on crop, it probably won't have a ratio there. You're going to tell it that the ratio is 13 by 19. Is it going to make this 13 by 19? No. What it is going to do is it's going to scale it as a 13 by 19, which means right now I am going to go ahead and bring this in so that everything fits, and you have to be careful because you want to make sure you have some bleed area on the edges here. All right, so I have a little bleed area, make sure I'm clean there. I hit enter and it's going to crop oh, and also make sure that you have this deselected. You do not want to delete the crop pixels. You want to keep that data. It makes the file larger, but if you ever want to use that full sky again, you have not deleted those pixels from the outside of this rectangle that we're making. So if I hit enter, it's going to lock that in, crop my image without deleting the pixels from all the different layers. Give it a little time. Now, first thing I would do, file, save as. Do y'all hear me now? Save as. Don't save, because basically you'd be saving over your all over print. So save as. And I'm going to call this 13 by 19. And then I'll take the words all over off the front, because now this is no longer an all over design. And I have to put a B or something in it because I think I already have one of these. So when I hit save and OK, now this is a totally different file. So now I can play with it, make sure it's optimized for 13 by 19. First thing that I'm going to do now that this is a brand new file is go to image, image size, and I see all these huge pixels right now. I'm going to go to inches, so I see the inches, and this thing is huge. I'm still going to keep it at 150 DPI. But I want to make sure my height is only 19 inches. I don't need it to be 38 inches. And it makes my width a little tad bit under 13. But it's still definitely within good tolerance. So now I hit enter. It's going to resize this graphic. And the file size is going to change too. Let me go ahead and click on the move tool so I don't miss and select any cropping here. See how it made it smaller? I'm going to zoom in by doing Control+. And now when I go to my image size, before it was over 60 megs, and now it's 15.9. So that's why I say if you never have any intention on doing it all over, these 13 by 19 files are a lot smaller than the all over print files. And if you do, let's say you do a lot of transition shirts. Well, I guess not transition. Let's say you do a lot of like bundle shirts, like you might do some all overs, but you might also offer 13 by 19s. I highly suggest that. And if that's the case, then this is what you do. So once you develop your all over design, then you do this. It is now a 13 by 19 design. And you can even turn your frame back on. What else did we do? We turn anything else off? I can't recall. But here's another thing it did. And I don't like this because when I resized it, I'm going to go back a second. So when I resize this image size, I need to tell it that I want to, you see this option right here, that I want to scale the styles. Because I don't know if you noticed it, but my outlines got a little thicker and funkier. My shadows didn't quite look right. And that's because I have layer styles applied to this template, right? So if I tell it I want to scale the styles, and then I shrink it down, now I keep the scaling of those effects. And that's really important to me for it to look as close as possible to the all over version of the graphic. So that's better for me. Okay. So now y'all learned that too. That little scale option is crucial if you are doing your copied versions. So yeah, I think I'm going to save this one. Matter of fact, this will be the template for the 13 by 19 all over. Now, what I do for my 13 by 19s, and I will do it here. Let me take my text group. Oh, I did never save this as text. Let me go ahead and group all that. Group, and let's call this text. And I think this group goes inside of there as well. Nope, just the RIP does. So this part goes with my text. And I think I'm even going to bring my praying hands into, no, I'll just keep it just text. I like to try to organize these layers for y'all. So my RIP is in this layer now. So now when I turn off text, it's all off. I might move it together. And the reason why I'm doing this too is because if you have an opportunity to do 13 by 19, maybe you want to use a little bit more of your space. Now, if you were keeping this simple and fast, which fast is usually like how we have to move when it comes to Remembrance shirts, because a lot of times we're doing them right on the peak of needing it for a funeral or for the repast or whatever celebration that they're doing, and it's usually last minute. So, you know, don't kill yourself trying to do all these extra edits just because it's the 13 by 19. You could literally have done it just as it was. So what I'm going to do is take my photo area here, and I'm going to take the halo, the photo itself, and I have a layer mask on there. I'm going to fade it off with this gradient here, even though it shouldn't really make a difference. Of course, I have to have the right gradient selected. I'm going foreground to transparent. When you see those checkerboards there, that's transparent. So I'm going to shift. And now I wasn't on the layer mask. Make sure you're on the layer mask. All right. Y'all get all these good bloopers. Okay, so what I just did was I just faded it off from the bottom there. I'm going to do the same thing to the wings there. And I'm going to have another blooper because there was no layer mask there. Let me add a layer mask with the rectangular icon with the circle. You can also, if you don't see that, or if it's locked, because sometimes it locks on you, go to layer, layer mask, and go to the one that says reveal all, and you'll get the pure white one. All right, so same thing here. I'm going to shift, pull that up. And let's see if I need to get rid of anything else. So then I might bring this whole thing down a little bit just so that, so I would have to bring my photo, this one, I can keep. Now even the wings would have to move. And see, this image was tall enough to where I wouldn't have to move it. So this image, I'm going to have to definitely move the wings with the photo. But that's cool because it'll expose more of the sky in the background. So let's turn that one off. And I'm going to shift it so I see more of the wings. And voila, it looks like he's popping out of the frame just like I liked it before. And it does have a little bit of a gradient going on there. I think that still looks really cool. And I took up a little more of the vertical space here. So I took advantage of the vertical space addition that we have now with this being a 13 by 19. Let's see, I can move this photo so that we get a glimpse of the shoes there. And if you turn on this little turn off the white layer, let this hot pink layer stay on. That kind of lets you know, do I have anything hanging or that will get abruptly cut off of these edges? I'm doing a great job steering clear of getting anything abruptly cut off. So we're good. You can turn that off, and that is your PNG right there. You can literally file, you can save for web, you can do a quick export as a PNG, you can even save as a PNG right now. And all of those methods have little different quirkiness about them. But if I want to save this as a PNG right now to be able to print, I don't print from these large files. I will save it as a PNG, right? And then I will print that PNG file because this file is way bigger with all the layers than the flattened PNG file. So if I'm getting ready to print, then by golly, I'm going to open up that PNG version of it. And I'm going to print from there. Let's just see what the image size difference is here. And let's see, that's 15.9 megs. And sometimes these things are lying to us in Photoshop. We just hover over it. That's 6.91 megabytes versus 320 megabytes. Hello? So if you're trying to send something to your printer and you're wondering why it's taking forever, don't print straight from the Photoshop file. Go ahead and get you a PNG version of it. You merged it down and then print from that file. Okay, so y'all got a couple of more nuggets in this. Hey, my baby! Erica's here. Yes, yes. You have to go back and watch the beginning of the video because I was kind of contemplating whether I wanted to do this one for him because I know the story. You told it to me. And I was like, well, do we want to do one where it has water? Because I understand, you know, that's how we pass. But then I also understand that when you're talking about resting in peace and paradise, that there are no more fears, there are no more struggles, any of that. So that water is not a threat to him anymore. The fact that he couldn't swim doesn't even matter now because all is peaceful, all is good, and all is right. So it kind of made me want to do this with him. So. And plus, you put the picture up there, so I'm sure it wasn't offensive to you if you already had that understanding. So yes, 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 we did him, and I hope we did him justice. Okay, so I just showed you all how to make this a 13 by 19, and I also gave you a tip of how to. I'm definitely going to go ahead and save this. I also gave you a tip on how to print these things. Don't print straight from Photoshop. Go ahead and save it as a PNG. Print from there. And that's it, loves. That's it. I know we spent a little time together on this one, but I always take my time with remembrance things. Y'all know that about me. But what I'm working on next is this tie-dye one here. Oh my gosh. I don't usually give y'all like full sneak peeks before I finished, but it's going to be a remembrance and graduation. I'm sad to say this. Well, no, I'm not sad to say this because we're serving a purpose right now for people who want to express the celebratory part of the graduation, and then we're also doing a service to those who want to celebrate the life of a loved one. So a lot of these templates right now, a lot of what's going on in the world right now is graduation and memorial type designs. So I'm showing you all how to take these templates and use them both ways so that you don't have to see RIP on a design in order to know that you can use it for remembrance. You don't have to see graduation to know that you can help these kids and design them something really cool for graduation. So I'm doing these little flip-flops for you. Let's see. So, hey, my girl Kim's here. Hey, Karita. So I want to show you all. This is something I'm working on right now, and I'm doing this for, of course, I haven't put my little images together yet, but my example is going to be using, was it Juice WRLD? But it could be remembrance, it could be graduation, it could be celebration, it could be birthday. I want you all to like get in the mode that this design is only limited to our minds. So I'm going to give you an example of that one. But I want y'all to see that I have created this tie-dye, like this is the grayscale version of it, but I've created these different colorways. So you can play with the colorways, and that's what I'm gonna do for the Juice WRLD one, because I feel like that really goes with like the color tones of the what he was wearing, and especially this Hawaiian print shirt right here. So I use someone asked me before, how do I pick colors? And I'm not that original where I just like pick all these colors from the top of my head. I don't think any of us are. So I use nature, I use existing photos. I'll look at what somebody's wearing in the photo and say, you know what? Oh, that's hot. The blue, navy blue, and red, and the golds and oranges. Maybe I'll play with that. So I'm working on this template for you guys. I should have this up 2 days. 2 days. So, and then that's like one of my roster versions. And then this will be, if you just wanted, you didn't feel like trying to figure out how all of those colors, because some colors touch and they don't look good. So throw a gradient on there, and hello, you still have a tie-dye inspired design. Oh, Ventresa, thank you, love. I'm glad you put your name in the end, because I'm like, below. Awesome, awesome, guys. So y'all check me out. I might do a live on that in just a little bit. I'm working on it. You know, it'll be taking me like a little hour or two to get that stuff done. And then I have some Affinity templates to work on, some to translate from Photoshop to Affinity. I may do those live as long as the internet supports it. Because that's overdue for someone who's been very patient with me. So I'm going to make sure that I get that done, and then there'll be more Affinity templates for you guys. Hey Tracy, thank you. Yes, the tie-dye's hot, and I don't know why I be giving y'all all my little gems and jewels, but I have there are going to be 2 different templates because I don't want to give away too much in one file, and plus I tend to confuse you all when I do that. But that's one. And then my second tie-dye that I'm working on is that one. So it will have variable colorways too. So you'll be able to change all of these little colors here. And that's going to be super cool. All you have to do is double click on the color and change that color overlay. Boom, bam. I'm going to have that available for y'all too. So may or may not get to these tonight, but I know like this will be something new. I haven't seen it for the graduation shirts yet, so I'm really excited to offer this to you guys. And it took me quite some time to play with this and figure out how I would execute this idea, because it is not easy to simulate tie-dye and allow it to be color changed and it still look good and, you know, and editable. So I worked very hard on that. So y'all please don't give away these files, don't share these files, don't sell these files. Make sure that what you're doing to support me continues me being able to enable you and help you be stronger designers, give you tools to make your designs stand out amongst the crowd. And plus, why would you want to give somebody something that you spend your hard-earned money to be able to obtain and stand out? Don't give that away to somebody else. You're literally giving your competition your tools. So I don't mind if you share, tell them where you got it from, but definitely don't. And there is a way that I can tell, and I want to tell y'all, I don't want to have to go through that. It takes me away from my design brain when I have to protect the brand brain. And we have enough of the pit bulls in the group that usually tell anyway. So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate all my pit bulls in the group, because sometimes my kindness gets mistaken for weakness. So I appreciate you all looking out for me. All right, loves. So I'm going to sign out on this one. And hopefully I can get this tie-dye ready for you guys. So let me know if you have any type of suggestions. You know what? Maybe I'll just put the tie-dye image up there and let y'all drop some photos, because I need graduation. No, I'll wait, because I have a few already. Graduation and remembrance. I have a couple that I can use. And I know that tip had an issue with this one, so I might do a quick tip video on that. Like, what do you do when a customer sends you something like that? How do you use it? That sort of thing. So maybe I'll do a quick tip, bad photos, or I won't call them bad. Let's call them difficult photos scenario. So I'll start pulling together some of the difficult photos that even y'all send me, and like, hey, this is not the strongest photo you can use for this example, but here's what you would do if you had to use it. Okay, so thank you all. I appreciate you. I love you dearly, and I will check in with y'all soon. Until then, y'all stay safe and sane in this environment, and I love y'all.